Hello and welcome to our first webinar of 2024 and Happy New Year. My name is Susie. You've probably seen my name appear in your inbox from emails by Susie from NBM and maybe from our blog and other communications from Next Broadcast, and I do hope so because that means I'm doing my job right. I am the head of content for Next Broadcast Media, and I'm going to be the one here with you for roughly about 30 minutes and taking you through what we call the sound of Ramadan. This is something we're going to be talking about for a while because we have discovered that while all our data and analytics and experience working in this industry shows that Ramadan and digital audio is a great combination, not many advertisers realize this. They don't think Ramadan and digital audio, and it really does mean that you're missing a fantastic opportunity, and I'm here to help you take advantage of this opportunity and realize it for your brand or for your clients. So during this 30-minute webinar, there are 4 parts, as you can see here. First of all, I'm going to be going through the data. We're going to be looking at who's listening, how many of people are listening, and what they're listening to. Then we're going to be going on to the strategy. Once you know people are listening, how do you turn that into a strategy? What are the 2 best approaches during Ramadan? Third, part 3 is, of course, looking at brand safety and suitability, something very important for advertisers. And I'm going to be wrapping up this webinar with some creative considerations. These are my top 8 pieces of advice to make sure your ad is super effective and does what it needs to do. So, as I say, this is going to be roughly 30 minutes. I will be sharing this presentation afterwards via email, as well as some other pieces of material. So keep an eye out on your emails. You don't need to take notes or screenshots or anything like that. I also have my colleague, someone you should know, Lemia. She's in the Q&A section. She'll be there to answer any of your questions that you have during this webinar. So I think we should just get going and begin. We are doing this presentation, as I say, for an important reason, and that is because modern tech has created a Ramadan that is full of both traditional and modern elements, and digital audio is very much a part of that. And so let's look at the data about why we say this statement. The data I'm showing you comes from a survey that we commissioned in 2022 with an independent research company called Happydemics. We questioned adults living in Saudi Arabia, and we specifically communicated with nationals living in Saudi Arabia and talked to them about their audio consumption, and specifically audio consumption during Ramadan. And it told us that consumption increases during Ramadan. So let's look at the data. So we know from this that digital audio is used during the Holy Month, and it is used to learn, relax, entertain, and even get a sense of connection from others that are experiencing the same thing. So the question is, why is there an uplift in digital audio consumption? There are many reasons, of course, but there is one core central reason, and that is that people have full control over what they hear, particularly important during Ramadan, where you only want to listen to certain things. You can control what you hear. unlike a medium such as radio where you have no control. So now we know kind of that people are listening and why they're listening. Let's look at the actual data of the survey that we did. As I mentioned, this is our survey that we did in 2022 with adults living in Saudi Arabia, where we talked to them about their digital audio habits, as well as what that was like during the month of Ramadan. Firstly, the generational group of millennials and Gen Z, they were identified to be the least likely groups to stop or reduce streaming music during the holy month, as well as 30% of those same generations accessing podcasts daily during Ramadan. Just to emphasize, this is daily. So that's 30% daily during Ramadan listening to podcasts. For those that do still listen, it is more likely to be in the digital audio format. And this goes back to what I was saying just a moment ago, where I said that you get full control over what you hear when you are listening to digital audio, unlike traditional radio, which is why the survey revealed that there was a drop of 33% of residents that said they are going to drop listening to radio during this month. But in the same light, and interestingly, 22% said they're actually going to listen to more podcasts. So it's not just continue listening, but this is more than usual. And finally, 28% of our respondents said that they're actually going to dedicate specific time to listening to digital audio content after iftar hours. So as you see, these numbers here, and as well as our years of work in the industry in the Middle East, indicate that there is a rise in usage of digital audio. We are constantly seeing these numbers increase. And this has happened at the same time as the rise in local language content. We know that the number of Arabic language shows that are hosted by active members of the Muslim community has rapidly grown over the years. In fact, you can see this when you look at the charts. 60% of the top 20 podcasts in the UAE are in Arabic language. And when you look over at Saudi Arabia, that number increases massively to 95%. This means that when you're creating your Ramadan campaign, you can feel confident that not only is there a large listening audience there, and they're made up of nationals and they're ready to hear what you're saying, they're also listening to content that is in line with your campaign, your Ramadan campaign. Another great thing that is worth emphasizing and talking about is that all of this positive data that I'm showing you here is happening within the medium of digital audio, which is a medium that is proven to be highly effective for advertisers. It is incredibly immersive, emotional, and persuasive. Just to showcase what I mean, here are some of the stats. This one here is saying that podcast ads have a 24% higher recall rate than display ads. There was an Edison survey that found 74% of respondents said that they had taken action once they had heard a podcast ad. And here, 53% of respondents responded to a ad that they heard on their home hub or smart speaker. So you see, the data shows there's an audience, and when it's done right, it is effective, which takes us nicely to the next stage. Now we are convinced we need to decide on the strategy. Of course, the strategy you pick is going to depend on your budget, your time frame, and your KPI. So what I'm going to do is walk you through 2 different central audio advertising strategies, both very effective for Ramadan, but different in terms of budget, time frame, and KPI. First off is dynamically inserted ads, and then second, we're going to be looking at sponsorships. So first is dynamically inserted ads. These are such a great place to start if you or your client is new to audio advertising. Your campaign is going to get really great reach and it's going to drive up really good awareness. You are going to make pre-recorded ads and they're going to be placed in targeted audio content at pre, mid, and post-roll ad spots. The benefits that you will get from this type of strategy is that it is quick to launch. And by quick, I literally mean within 4 minutes. And you're going to see how next. It is also very creatively dynamic. You, for example, could create a Ramadan campaign that has a different type of creative for before iftar hours and then after iftar hours. And you can schedule them to change based on time of day. This sort of flexibility is really, really great for achieving high-level personalization. Targeting is, of course, super deep, as you would expect with a programmatic strategy like this. We have contextual, geographic, language, and demographic targeting. It's everything you could possibly need to make sure you're reaching only the most valuable audience. And there is also a lot of data analytics there for you for your post-campaign performance reviews. If this sort of strategy sounds like the great one for you or your clients, let me introduce you to Ad Manager FM. This is our self-serve ad manager tool, which allows you to take full control over the whole process from booking to going live. You get complete access to our network, and there's going to be no unnecessary back and forth emails causing delays because you have full control. It is free to sign up, and you can be live within 4 minutes. And as the starting budget is from $250, it means that it's a great solution if you or your clients want to just test audio and see how it does for your campaign or see how it does for the business. It's a great way to give audio a try. As I say, it is free to sign up. You just need to head over to the website admanager.fm and you can sign up. It's completely free. Play with the tool and see what it can do. In Ad Manager, we have created a Ramadan package. So when you go into your targeting parameters, you will see something called Ramadan. That is a package that is made up of a collection of all the podcasts in our network that are Ramadan friendly, and it excludes anything that's not relevant for a Ramadan campaign. This is going to make it even quicker and easier for you to set up that campaign and launch. You can also book by specific show if you're not interested in booking a complete Ramadan package. And this here is a screen grab of a PDF that will be arriving in your inbox from me, so look out for that. It is a list of top shows that you can book individually. You'll need to create an ad manager account, and then on this PDF, you can find the show that you'd like to book, for example, this one, which is All Ears English. You would then click on it and it will take you through to this booking page. Here, you will just click book now, or you can read some more information about the show. So this is going to allow you, as I say, to book shows individually instead of as a total package. Once you click book now, you'll go through the complete booking process, which includes this section where you create your ad. We offer free professional voice recording as well as free script writing tools. Everything you could need to book the campaign is available, all within admanager.fm. Next up is strategy 2, which is sponsorship approach. You are definitely going to be getting a deeper emotional connection with a sponsorship approach because you're leveraging the connection that customers have with the hosts. These are influencers. Hosts are the new type of social influencers, and they are going to be the ones that communicate and distribute your message. As I mentioned at the beginning, people listen during Ramadan to hear from others that experience the same thing. They're connecting to these hosts. So by using them, you are using their connection, their trust, and their influence to share your ad. There are a few sponsorship options, such as host read ads, which is where the host will pre-record the ad for you and it is inserted into the show. There is also live reads, which is quite similar, but it's live, it's not pre-recorded, and you're going to get a bit more of an ad lib type of creative. There is also branded shows where your product or brand can become part of the content itself. Just as an example of what this means, we did a campaign with the investment company Capital recently, and we did this with the show Think with Hessa, and she created a specific episode all about investing, and we integrated the brand into the show content itself. The benefits of this type of approach is there are multiple ad formats, as I just mentioned, the deep emotional connection that listeners have with hosts, and it commands very high attention and trust. A strategy like this, as you can expect, is going to take more budget and perhaps a little bit more of a time frame to set up too. So this isn't going to be your option if it's a last minute addition to your strategy. That's going to be more of the dynamic first option, that strategy of dynamically inserted ads. In our network, we have over 70% of the top ranking shows in the region, many creating Ramadan-specific shows. These are just 3 great examples that have sponsorship options available during Ramadan. Firstly, Saturday Couch is always in the top 10. They have over 660,000 listeners per episode, and they are consistently popular show and connect with huge audiences. We also have conversations with Lulu. Not only does she have great listener numbers on listening platforms, but she also has over 12,000 subscribers on YouTube and more than that when it comes to actually watches per episode. So you do know that when you are getting sponsorship with someone like Conversations with Lulu, not only are you getting the inventory on audio platforms, but also on YouTube when she uploads her podcast onto visual channels. And then we also have Think with Hessa, a very well-established host with over 250,000 listeners per episode. If you are interested in these shows or any others, do reach out to us about sponsorship options. We've got lots of options available. Okay, so we have gone over the stats. We've looked at the different strategy. So perhaps you're starting to get on board and you're now thinking about your campaign and how to use audio advertising. I'm sure there is perhaps one question that is still unanswered, and that question is probably going to be around safety and suitability. Being that it is Ramadan, or maybe even any other time of year, brand safety is rightfully an important concern for advertisers. And podcast shows are often produced independently, and they're very much produced in a very conversational, casual manner. And this can cause some occurrences of explicit language. They can also touch upon subjects that are happening in the news, or maybe bring up topics such as true crime. And so the question is, in this sort of environment where it is quite casual and independently created content, how can we make sure that your audio ads have a positive impact on your brand and sales? Firstly, as listeners are choosing the content, I mentioned this before, that they are consuming content that they have picked with purpose, you can be sure that it's likely that they are not going to be offended by what is discussed on that show. This is why a survey found that 83% of podcast listeners ranked podcasts as the most brand safe medium over other visual and social platforms. It's a feed that is full of content they have subscribed to, not content that is pushed to them. They are not able to consume content unless they click it because they want to listen. But I mean, this sentiment does not address misalignment that can occur, such as, here's an example, a burger restaurant. If a burger restaurant ad is being placed on a show that during that one episode discusses the merits of a vegan lifestyle, maybe that's not the best alignment for that brand. And during Ramadan, show selection can be even more important. You need to make sure you are aligned to the right content. So the key question is, how do we address this kind of thing? And this is how we do it. We have entered into a partnership with the leading podcast tech company, Barometer. Barometer is the leading company when it comes to suitability and safety. And this partnership makes us GARM compliant as well as aligned with the IAB content taxonomy. This is the best technology that is out there, and it is brought to you through us, and it can be used for safety among Arabic podcast shows. So what does this tech actually do and mean for you as an advertiser other than what I've just said? Let's look at some of the details quickly. First off, what it does is look at both show and episode level data across all those GARM categories. And this analysis and filtering takes place before the impression occurs. So it's filtering out beforehand. Importantly, this tech is specifically designed for the podcast environment where, if on some other content it was discussing true crime, it perhaps flag it. Whereas true crime, people are listening to that sort of content because they want to, so it's not going to flag it for that reason. So it is specific for that very unique podcast environment. It also looks at host intelligence. So it looks at the host. Who are they? What do they represent? Do they have any features in the news? All that sort of data. It looks at that as well as the show. We can vet shows to ensure that they meet your standards, and we will filter out to find the perfect alignment for you. This high-level safety measure is available through us, Next Broadcast Media. So let us know if you would like more data on this safety precaution. Okay, so here we are. We're coming to an end of the presentation. You now know that people are listening during Ramadan and they are paying attention. You know the different strategies that are available and can support a great Ramadan campaign. And you can now be assured that your brand is safe and secure during this time. So the last part really is looking at some of the nuts and bolts at creating an effective ad. All of the potential of audio ads can only be realized if your ad is effective. People are typically using headphones to consume digital audio, creating this unique one-on-one environment. So this is your one chance to connect on a deeper level compared to visual content where people are scrolling and not fully paying attention to what they're looking at. So we need to make sure if your ad is heard, you are doing it right. So I'm going to be going through these 8, and these 8 are our top tips to getting it right this Ramadan. First off, language, of course, very obvious, but worth highlighting because it is just so important. You are targeting by region, so make sure you are using the local language, dialect, and terminology in your ad creative. Next, specifically for the programmatic strategy, take advantage of switching the creative tone or the content by time of day. For example, you can have a morning ad and then you could have an ad for after iftar hours, or an ad creative that changes as you build closer to Eid and people are getting ready for celebration and gift giving. There are many options available when it comes to Ramadan and being a bit more dynamic with your creative, so take advantage of that. But if you are going to be switching your ad around, be sure to stay on message, keep some consistency in there. And this is not just consistency across the audio ads itself, but also across all of your mediums that you're using, have some consistency. Next, when it comes to your brand mention, repeat. This refers to your brand name and your brand product. Data shows that every additional brand mention after the first 5 seconds really does help with boosting recall. So be sure not just to say it once, say it twice, say it often. Now let's talk about ad length. There's a lot of data out there where they've analyzed different ad lengths. And for dynamic ads, the performance sweet spot that has been found is that between 15 to 30 seconds. So be sure to stick to that time frame. Next, it is important to remember that it is not a radio ad. People have their headphones in, they are listening with purpose, they are tuning in, they really are paying attention. It's not just background noise. So you do not need to shout. You don't need to grab their attention with jarring kind of sound effects or jingles. Try to be seamless with the content being consumed. Call to action, of course, super important. This is, audio is consumed. You need to be able to recall it and spell it well. So make sure it is easy. Read it out loud, repeat it, spell it out if necessary. And finally, I'm just going to be looking at what I've called classic format. And this is the structure of the ad. It is a classic because it is tried and tested, and it's a classic for a reason, and that's because it works. Start with an intro to your brand, mention who you are, what the brand is, then move on to the core message, the benefits, the definitions, repeat your brand again, and then end with a clear call to action, repeating your brand again. You do not need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the ad. Thank you for listening. You are now among the few that have realized that Ramadan and digital audio is a great combination for driving awareness and success this Ramadan. With the right approach, the approach that we discussed during this webinar, you can use podcasts and digital audio to reach the right audience, a valuable audience, and you can expect great returns. As you know, my name is Susie, and you can reach me on this email address, susie@nextbroadcast.media. That is my email address. I am there on the other side, and I will answer any of your questions or get back to you with any kind of information you need. I will be emailing you this presentation, as well as other pieces of valuable information about Ramadan and digital audio that I hope you find insightful and useful for you. You can head over to nextbroadcast.media as well to learn more about what we offer, and the tool that I mentioned in this presentation, Ad Manager, which is our self-serve ad tool, can be reached by going to admanager.fm. It is free to sign up. You can log in, you can create an account, and you can play with it. Look at our targeting, look at the tools available. There is an AI script generator that is a free tool to use, as well as we can create the ad for you. You can target by region, you can create ads in different languages, you can target by demographics, all in this one tool. So head over to admanager.fm to learn a little bit about that too. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. As I said, I will email you the presentation, and I'm wishing you a successful Ramadan campaign and a very happy and healthy 2024. Take care.